Good morning. Chris Lee of Southeastern 16 here, joined by my co-hosts Blake Lovell and Max Barr. It is the Tuesday morning game day edition of the show. We got 5 games on tap tonight. Tennessee visits Florida, 6 Central on ESPN2. Kentucky goes to Georgia, same time on the SEC Network. Then we get the 3-8 Central games. That is Auburn going to Texas on ESPN2. Mississippi State heading to Vanderbilt. I'll be in the building for that one tonight. That's on ESPNU. And we've got LSU and Missouri, same time on the SEC Network. More games tomorrow. By the way, we have previewed each of these games in separate videos. I believe we did Tennessee, Florida in its own video, Kentucky, Georgia in its own video, and then we did Auburn, Texas, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt, and LSU versus Missouri all together in one video. So if you want more detailed analysis of any of those games, you can find it there. We will be here to just reflect on those games in general tonight, big picture topics, take your questions and address your comments in the chat. If you leave a super chat, we promise you we will get to those. All right, excited about things tonight. It is frozen territory here in Middle Tennessee. School is out in the Lee household, which always makes for an interesting morning. All right, but we're here to talk basketball. Max Barr, where would you like to start us off, sir?
I would just like to say, my good friend Blake, another Blake, great name. This is probably one of the first Gigamaggies I've seen in the chat. I just want to let you know, Blake, you're at home here at Southeastern 16. We need more. We need more. I will quick give you a rundown of the odds just so we know what we're kind of looking at here. We have only one double-digit spread today. Recipe for chaos. And that double-digit spread is 10. Okay? So Florida, 3-point favorite. Oh, Florida, 3-point favorite against the undefeated Vols. Georgia at home. Now we're going to talk about this one. +1.5. +1.5 at home against Kentucky. 1-point spread there in that game. Texas +10 at home against Auburn. Missouri, 7-point favorite at home against LSU. And then Vanderbilt opened a 1-point favorite against Mississippi State. Flipped. Now they're a 1-point underdog. So we've got 3 different games, the Florida, Tennessee, the Georgia, Kentucky, and the Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, with a spread of a basket or fewer. So if that's any indication of how tonight is going to go, it's going to be a wild night.
Yeah, it should be. We probably should pull up the injury reports to set the stage for what we're going to talk about here. Because I think that's notable in one of these games specifically. But, yeah, I just think this is one of those where, as we said, you've got all these teams that won at home on Saturday are now getting ready to hit the road, and we know how that's going to go for teams in the SEC when you hit the road this season. 132-3. Still the number as it stands right now, and so, so we'll see which of these teams are perhaps on upset alert and which can navigate this, again, grind in the SEC. So we'll find out tonight.
The difference between the weekend and the games tonight and Wednesday is that most, I want to say maybe 6, 7 of the games on Saturday, the home team was the better team if you just put them and match them up on a neutral floor. I think this week, today and tonight, is the opposite. I think you would probably say if you put these teams on a neutral floor, 7 of the 8 teams would be favored if they played on a neutral floor. Is that fair?
Yeah.
So that makes for a more interesting night. Like when you're already the better team on a neutral floor and you're playing at home, what you can get is a blowout. That is mostly what we saw on Saturday. Tonight is interesting because the matchups are more even, and the better team is playing on the road in most instances.
Yeah, before we kind of get into the storylines, Blake, do we want to just quick run through the availability report? I've got it. Do you want me to pull it up?
Yeah, let's pull that up here quickly.
Yeah, just so we can kind of set the stage here for what we're going to be working with. Yeah, as you can see, I have 47 tabs open as usual. So here we go. Last reported, I think these are all up to date. So this is probably a reason why you're seeing, let me drop that banner real quick. There you go. This is probably why you're seeing Florida stick at -3. Cade Phillips, questionable tag there. That spread sticking at 3, guys. Might be a shorthanded front court here.
The Phillips injury, I saw it happen when he played. He looked like he, I don't know, hit his shoulder or hand on somebody, I think, during the second half of the game. I did not check the aftermath of that. Is that what that injury is, Max?
Yeah.
Okay.
And honestly, that spread sticking out there at -3 kind of makes me think he might not go. So that's definitely, because especially with Estrella out, at least you got Phillips who can come in. But with both of them out, I mean, now we're looking at, you're going to need Milicic and Okpara to stay out of foul trouble. In an up and down game like this, that could become a storyline there. So something to monitor. Florida all available. This was interesting, guys. Kobe Brea coming up questionable on the report.
Where did that come from?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
So like the flu or something like that?
I'm not sure. Who was it that had the flu that I saw their dad? Someone's dad, Boogie Fland. Boogie Fland's dad tweeted the other day that he's playing through the flu right now. He played through the flu in his last game. So I don't know. I wanted to mention that. But yeah, Kriisa out. Brea questionable. Montgomery will play, but keep an eye on Kobe Brea there. Maybe that's a reason why that spread is down to one point and a half.
Chris Fisher of 24/7 Sports has got an article up within the last 45 minutes on this, but it has nothing. It's just an article saying he's on the injury report. So yeah. I don't think we're the only ones in the dark here. Maybe a Twitter search would be valuable here.
Well, definitely something to monitor.
All right, before we get to everything else, BetOnline, world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. This is new copy here, folks. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, BetOnline is the number one sports betting source for the new year. From touchdowns to three-pointers and everything else, BetOnline has you covered on every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. A new one. That felt good.
Nice.
All right. Continue.
Nice. All right, we're going to have a clean game. Auburn-Texas, no injuries. For LSU, of course, Jalen Reed. I wonder if teams are gonna be required to keep putting guys out that are like clearly out for the season.
They will.
Yeah, but Reed and Burns out for LSU and Missouri, so that means Caleb Grill good to go. State, Clary still out indefinitely. No clue when he'll be back. But here's an interesting one, Chris, Blake, the spark plug, Jason Edwards with a questionable tag. Thoughts?
Yeah, I saw that happen. Have you ever played a pickup game or something and like caught a knee to the outer part of your thigh and it just feels like somebody stuck a knife in it? I think that's what happened. He sat out the first half, came back the second half, but really wasn't the same. I don't know if that's one of those things that the bruise sets in and gets worse overnight. I would be kind of surprised if he didn't play tonight. I have no inside info on that. I just haven't watched it happen. But I think that's the deal unless there was something else that happened, and I've not heard of that.
Yeah, I think because those odds opened up Vanderbilt -1.5, and then it flipped. I don't know if that is an indication of Edwards' status or if that's just kind of the market maybe correcting a wrong team being favored. But the close situation to monitor there.
Just quickly, Eli, you are now favored, just for the record. You are favored now in this game. So originally you were not favored, but you are favored now.
That flipped 3 points.
Technically, it would be an upset. So just as a note, you say just got off work. We're just giving you the update. Your team is now favored in this game. So
how about it, Eli? Though, just getting off work, hopping right on, chat some hoops. Gotta love it.
That would be about a 4.5 point game lean in State's favor if this were on a neutral floor, according to the model that I've put together, which is pretty close. So
a super model?
It's points above average, Blake Lovell. It's numbers and stats. I mean,
I prefer the super models versus the points above average models. But let's continue.
I got you.
Moving on. Report pending. I didn't even know this was a thing. Oh, okay. Sorry, guys.
Well, we're waiting on those games. Those aren't until
waiting on those are the late games. All right. Well, there you have it. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Those are the Wednesday games.
Those are the Wednesday games. I don't know where I am right now. I don't know what day it is.
No.
But there you have it. I think most notable, maybe for me, is that Brea tag there. I saw that last night, but was not expecting that. So what could that? Okay, so let's play the hypothetical just for a second. Brea doesn't go. How does that change your opinion at all on this game? Because we all picked Kentucky, didn't we? Didn't we sweep it?
Well, hold on a second. So,
yep.
Holly says you put the curse on UK. Nicholas says we did put the curse on him, and it's my fault. And then Holly responds with "Damn you, Blake." So we're off to a great start here with Kentucky fans this morning. Yes, we all picked Kentucky. Fault. Does it change my opinion? Absolutely, it does. Because I think if Georgia is able to make this their kind of game, and Kentucky is missing the best 3-point shooting threat since I don't know who, I think that's significant. So, I mean, if you're telling me I have the opportunity to defend Kentucky with Kobe Brea or without Kobe Brea, I'm going to choose without 100 times out of 100. So I do think that changes things for Kentucky a little bit here. It was already going to be a tough road game. We mentioned the series history, those kind of things. If he doesn't play, then Georgia gets to defend them in a much different way. Yes, there's still guys who can hit shots, but there's not another guy on the roster that can hit shots like that. And so, I mean, it changes a little bit, sure.
I did not realize, like, if you take him out of their 3-point percentages, that changes significantly. I mean, Oweh's a good shooter, but he's not the volume. And Butler, same thing.
I mean, Brea is historically one of the best shooters we've seen.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's in the historical range. So, like, you can't replace him with literally anyone, not just on Kentucky, but, I mean, anyone. Like, you're just not going to replace this guy. So, if that's the case, which, again, we don't know. I mean, it's questionable, right? It's not doubtful or anything, but you have to consider it now, and that's why we like these injury reports, because you have to discuss it. I mean, it's notable.
Well, my point is they have other guys who can shoot the basketball. I had not realized he was that much better in terms of volume and percentage than the rest of the roster. Like, they've got some other percentage guys that shoot it in the 40s or close to it, but the volume is nowhere near that.
And it pertains to this matchup because arguably, other than maybe their block rate, their 3-point percentage defense, Georgia I'm talking about, that's the best attribute they have. You know, they don't play a guy under 6'5". They're tall. They close out strong. They force tough shots. Opponents right now are shooting 28.5% from the 3-point line against them. So
now they have some guy like Jackson Robinson is capable of giving them a lot more than he's given them so far. That was a guy that you were seeing as a preseason, second team all SEC pick in a lot of circles, that kind of range. He's not played anywhere near that, but it's there.
Yeah.
Yep. Blake, I think we got some super chats. We got
shout out to Quinn, $4.99. Quinn's not picking on me today. He's just here to give out money. Quinn says, "Word M Eagle, horns down. Everything is bigger in Alabama, not Texas." So there you go. Quinn's excited to root on the Tigers today in Austin, Texas. Another great comment here. The best place for SEC sports fans here. That's Southeastern 16. Hey, keep bringing the super chats. Keep bringing the It Just Means More. Keep bringing the sponsorships. Reach out, caroline.smith at southeastern14.com. We got our inbox is overloaded right now with a number of sponsors. You may be getting more ad reads coming soon, folks. You're welcome. We may have to make that a members-only thing soon on the ad reads. They may be too plentiful. But, yeah, there you go. So,
alrighty. Where to next?
What else we want to discuss?
I think Tennessee-Florida is the game that we've circled since the weekend.
Well,
that one is fascinating to me.
Top 6 matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I could argue it's a
game.
top 5 game in the conference this year.
Yeah, I mean, 2 top 6 teams. I think that's going to make the list for sure.
Who did you guys
Florida,
pick?
Or where's Florida at?
Tennessee.
Florida's 8. Excuse me.
And then Blake, you picked Florida, right?
I picked the Gators.
Yeah, I picked Florida.
What did you say the line had swung to, Max?
Well, so it opened at Florida -3, and then I saw it shrink down to Florida -1.5, and then when I checked this morning, it was back out to Florida -3. So I don't know kind of what to attribute that to. I kind of wanna think that means maybe there's no Phillips. That's what I want to think, but at the same time, it could just be the market kind of banking on that. You have a tough road game, team shoots the absolute lights out. You get to come home, bounce back, undefeated at home this year. I'm not sure, but I want to think it has something to do with Kate Phillips.
Well, and I think it's just you're playing a top 10 team on the road. Whether you're the number 1 team in the country or not, you're playing the top 10 team on the road. So in that scenario, it's not surprising unless there was just such an overwhelming number for the number 1 team, which, again, Tennessee's great, but, I mean, we've debated it. Like, is Auburn the number 1 team and all this other stuff? So, like, I just think anytime you get these kind of matchups, like, it's not going to be shocking if the team that's rated a few spots lower is favored just because – and we said, I mean, it's also just the SEC. And if I'm betting on the SEC – and so far, I would have bet on every SEC team to win its home games this season. I would have gained a lot of money. I mean, really, if I would have won 132 bets and lost 3. So I think that's the thing, right? So,
well, when you did your 2-minute filibuster yesterday on how it's gone for Tennessee the last few times in the O'Connell Center, it was a little scary.
I call it facts, not a filibuster.
Whatever.
Straight up
F
facts.
words.
So
anyway,
you're going to get something started in the chat after that.
Yeah.
Now, where I think it's worth discussing is how different is this Tennessee team? Offensively, it's not what it increasingly got to be last year. Sit around and by the way, the difficulty for Tennessee down there has been scoring. It's a different team this year. This is the most versatile offense Rick Barnes has had in some time. It's not just get the ball to connect and see if he can hit a shot with 3 guys hanging off his elbows. So that's part of it. And second of all, like some of the past teams that went down there just weren't great offensive teams anyway. So does that apply here? Is the road just too difficult to overcome, period? I mean, I think we learned a lot about that this weekend, although, like I said, the better teams were generally hosting at home anyway.
Could this be a Darlin Stone Dubar breakout game? He's only scored 3 points in his past 3 games. We were really hyping up D Stone in the preseason. Could this be a Dubar game? Maybe need a little bit of his outside shooting on the road against a high-flying Florida offense, because when you look at kind of what Okpara does, they don't really kind of feed Okpara. He'll end up getting his, but it's not like they're running the offense through him a lot. Milicic, different story, but without Phillips, it's like, when you're looking in that, 3, 4, 5 spot, other than Lanier and Milicic, who are you going to for, low post offense? Could be a little D-Stone DeBar tonight. Calling it.
Well, once again, I mean, it's facts, right? I mean, I'm not saying that I think that Tennessee's going to go down there and score 50 points. I just think if you do look at the history, which is going to play in if you're setting the line and those kind of things, like Vegas is going to look at these sort of numbers and say, that's interesting that Tennessee seems to struggle there a bit. But again, I mean, I think they're going to score plenty of points here because I don't think Florida's the best defensive team in the world. I think they're better. I don't think they give up 106 points every game. I'd be shocked if they give up 106 tonight. But still, I mean, it's certainly something where every year the matchup is different, but it's just you're also going to lean on the series history too. And the series history kind of tells you that this has been one, at least in recent years, that has gone in Florida's favor. So, and again, I still believe Florida's a top 10 team in the country. I mean, my opinion on them just did not change a whole lot after the Kentucky game. So I think it's a tough spot for Tennessee, but guess what? Tennessee's been in a tough spot before this year. And They went to Illinois, and we thought that was a real tough spot. They won the game. So, I mean, this is just another one on the list. And, I mean, this team just doesn't back down from anything, right? So I'd be stunned if Florida just goes in and blows out Tennessee or holds them, like I said, to 60 points or something. But, I mean, I also completely understand why Florida's the favorite here, just because of sort of the track record in this series here. So
the DeBar angle that you brought up, Max, is kind of interesting. By the way, he has shrunk 2 inches since transferring to Tennessee, according to KenPom. He was 6'8" last year at Hofstra. He's 6'6" now. Maybe that's. But all kidding aside, I know he had some personal issues that kind of kept him off the floor. I'm wondering, how much confidence deep down do they have in him? Is it a thing just where, okay, we got used to playing without you, we're the last unbeaten team left in the country, don't mess with what's working, or what that looks like?
Yeah, I think we're gonna find out quick. I mean, when he played in that Illinois game, he didn't do bad. But he's still, I mean, he's not even getting double-digit minutes yet, and we thought he was gonna, kind of be a force from outside shooting the 3-ball. As he did it last year. I mean, that Duke game last year, he was just a sniper. So been waiting to see him. Honestly, guys, in this game though, I think I hate to say I know who's going to win after the first few possessions because that's never the case. That is just never the case. But I really feel like I'm going to be looking at Florida's guards stopping dribble penetration the first few possessions. If Ziegler's able to just ball screen and just get right into the lane and collapse the defense right away, I'm going to be like, oh no, I picked Florida, but it looks like Ziegler's just going to be dishing it out all day, getting into the lane at will. That's going to really worry me for Florida. Other side, though, if first few possessions, you're forcing Tennessee late into the shot clock, Ziegler can't get into the lane, Florida came to play. They're correcting those mistakes. I'm going to be looking for that right off the bat.
Well, I mean, I don't have a lot of question about Florida's guard play here, but I think if they win this game, it's going to be, I think, because their front court stepped up and really challenged Milicic and Okpara, and I think that could be the name of the game here. So I'm very curious to see how because we've said it. I mean, just the rotation they've had in the front court has been, I mean, tremendous to this point. So that's another big story. And I just, like we said, who's gonna get the most offensive rebounds here? Who's gonna get the most second chance opportunities? That could also be the big story in this one.
Max, you brought up, do Tennessee's guards cause chaos getting in the lane and those things? And we talked about Florida with Neil Blackman, and we just kind of said, hey, look, statistically the defense is off the charts. It is much improved, but you are not playing at going forward the level of teams that you're playing. And sometimes it's just when you've got better athletes than the teams that you're playing, you can just overwhelm them. Sometimes when you get into comparable athletes to what you have, which is what Florida's going to be facing in the SEC, it looks a lot different. Those things kind of fall apart. We said, well, what's that look like? I don't know that Kentucky's a fair test because Kentucky's, when it's going, that's probably a top 5 or 10 offense in the country. Plus you're playing in Rupp Arena. And again, we know how home teams did. So I don't know if that was a one-off. It just you just toss it out and say, hey, you ran into a hot Kentucky team in Rupp. Disregard that from the record. I think tonight tells us a lot more because of where it is. And on the DeBar issue, back to that for a minute, he barely came off the floor at Hofstra last year. Yeah. So you do have that in reserve. Durability, unless there's some kind of out-of-shape thing that's going on at Tennessee now, and I'm not saying there is. I'm just trying to cover all the possibilities. The track record is of a guy who can play a ton of minutes if you need him. So if Phillips isn't able to go as much and they need him because of that or foul trouble, you do have that. His track record suggests he can stay on the floor for very long periods of time.
Could I say prove it game for the Florida defense here?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think that's fair.
If they again let up, I don't know, if they let up, 90-ish points to Tennessee, 80, 90, and Tennessee is just getting whatever they want, I think we come back here tonight, I believe, or tomorrow morning, whatever one, and we say, okay, Florida defense definitely needs some work, but if they shut the water off here on Tennessee, hold them under 70, I think we kind of just chalk that up to Kentucky had the game of their life in their SEC home opener. But I'm going to be circling that Florida defense prove-it game tonight.
Well, and I don't even think it's Kentucky had a game of their life. I think it's just Kentucky's one of the best offensive teams in the country. And they're going to score 100+, I think, against a lot of teams. I think they'll score 100 or more points multiple times in SEC play, no matter who the opponent is. Maybe not Tennessee, but I just think it's going to happen. So, absolutely, if Florida does it again here, and that's not saying that Tennessee's drastically different than Kentucky, but they're a little different offensively in the setting, like we said, especially you're at home now if you're Florida. If you give up 100 on your home court, then, yeah, you got an issue at that point. So, yes, it's absolutely a prove-it game for Florida to see what's it going to be, right? Because if you're giving up that many points, you're really going to put a lot of pressure on yourselves because, like we said, if you want to talk about just top-tier meaningful games, right? Go back to the NCAA tournament game last year where they gave up 102. I'd say the North Carolina game was probably the most meaningful of the non-conference slate. They gave up 84, and now they give up 106 to Kentucky. So now it's the next most meaningful game against the number one team in the country in the AP poll, and if you give up that number again around there, then that's a trend, right? So, yeah. That would be concerning at that point, but I can't predict that's going to happen after the Kentucky game because I'm that's all I have to go on. So we'll find out in this game. So
we just got, before we move on anywhere, because I know we want to get to Texas and Auburn. Core member comes in, says found Bray came down with a cold on Sunday. Sorry if I already said just got here. News to me. Maybe that's the questionable tag. Maybe a little bit of the flu bugs going around.
That was out there on Twitter by some kind of a claim to be a Kentucky basketball account, not official, but nobody had heard of it. It was a 2,400 follower account, so I'm not sure how reputable that was, or if that's where it's coming from.
Well, hold on a second, Chris. You're
That's more than I had.
With 2,400 followers, they got more than Max Barr.
That's more than I had.
You're saying they're not reputable. Wow.
We're not Twitter guys.
My goodness. Wow.
All right.
Holy cow.
I'm just saying it was kind of a lone tweet out there. So maybe they had something or maybe they didn't. I don't know. But
that's your first problem.
We need a private investigator on this. The mystery of the Kobe Bryant questionable tag.
Yeah. We'll find out. We've also got a unofficial report here. Kobe Bryant has a hand injury sustained from lighting Florida on fire at the three-pointer. So it's also something. Yes, I agree here, Sam. Grizzly, too big time for the $2,400. So, too big time. Anonymous also says Kobe Bryant is sick. So,
okay, we're gonna go with that.
So-
We're gonna go with
when an injury pops up out of nowhere this time of year, I suspect cold or flu or something like that. So it wouldn't be surprising.
Gotta get Dr. Lee in there to investigate.
How many minutes a game is he playing right now? Like 20, like 20, 25. So maybe he's just on restricted minutes or something. We'll have to see.
All right. Shout out to Quinn, another $4.99 super chat earlier.
Oh, we're back with this.
Picking on me and Max for saying Missouri didn't get blown out yesterday in our power rankings. A 16-point loss is a blowout. All right, poll in the chat, okay? Is a 16-point loss a blowout? I vote no. That is not yes, we said, Quinn, that it was more one-sided than the score indicated, but it was still a 16-point outcome. I do not vote that as a blown-out game. Some of you will vote it as a blown game. I can already tell the comments are coming. But I do not see 16 as a blowout. I think 20-plus, 25-plus is what I like to use as a range for a blowout, okay? 16, it's not really. Come on. Listen, if I said this, Quinn.
Hey Max, I just sent you guys something in the chat. See if you can pull this up on the screen.
Oh no!
All right.
I already see the link. It goes to Ken Palm, WinProb. Oh no! We can't pull up Ken Palm on the screen, can we?
Especially if it contradicts your theory.
Well, no, it's a paid service. We're not pulling that up on the screen.
I pull it up all the time.
Well, take a look at it. If
I'm
you
going to call
want to
Ken
settle the question of a blowout. Now, some of this factors in Auburn and how good Auburn is, but
I'm on a different browser, so I can't pull it up.
Okay, well,
give me the 15-second version of what it says.
Have you seen the win probability graph that Ken Palm does?
You asking me if I've seen the win probability graph? No chance.
The whole second half is like a flat line on the very bottom of the graph, which basically says you have no chance to win.
Okay, but is that a blowout?
It has to do.
What?
No.
It's a serious question.
It's not a blowout.
Okay, I think I see what you mean, but okay. 10 minutes to play. Auburn has a 99.9% chance of winning.
We know that, but the final score was a 16-point game. Therefore,
well, yeah, but there's a difference to me in you can't tell me okay, we've all watched games where it was a 3 or 4 point game with 3 minutes to play, and then somebody hits 19 foul shots and it ends up a 15-point game. That's a lot different than a game where you're trailing by 30 and you have a furious run at the end when the walk-ons are in and it ends up at 16. Come on.
Here was our point. If you go back, if anyone wants to go back and watch the power rankings, I'm only asking you because we need the ad money here. But if you go back and watch, we did it in the context of how do you separate some of these teams, right? And we said Missouri only lost by 16, so we have to use that as one of those little tiny separators for teams that are just jumbled together. We weren't saying that Missouri, played an A-plus game against the Auburn Tigers. We were just pointing out that from the score line, they only lost by 16. We were saying it kind of half-jokingly there. But we also put it within the context of the fact that it was never in doubt. Auburn was going to win the game. Everyone knew that. So keep it coming, Quinn. I'll just keep arguing with it if you're going to keep giving us money. So $4.99 super chat from Quinn here. It's a blowout. Had a 20-point lead for most of the second half. I disagree. What are you going to come back with now, huh?
Here, Max.
$10? No. $15?
It is not a blowout. It is not a blowout because of the spread. It's not because of the spread. Listen.
Exactly. Another great point from Max Barr.
Just because you build in an expectation does not
less than 2,000 Twitter followers. Don't tell Chris Lee.
Hold on.
Holy cow.
Hold on. Let me get
Have you guys lost your minds?
This is great. Keep it coming. Nope, I disagree, Quinn. $4.09 super chat. Keep it coming. I disagree.
Hold on. Give me a second. Okay, is Missouri plus 18 on the road at a place where everyone gets mauled by 40 and they cover the spread? If you wagered on them to just cover the spread minus 110, you won money. Okay, now if they go in there and it's a pick 'em and it's an even money line and they go and they lose by 16, okay, well, geez, the result is a lot different than what we expected. we expected them to lose by 20 plus. They covered the spread. I think that's a good result.
Good teams win, great teams cover.
Great.
You can be expected to get your butt beat, and when it happens, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. What planet are you guys on today?
They lost by 16. This is nothing
I've
more
already-
than a
I've already
16-point loss,
said-
a blowout.
I've
Please.
already said that when you go into Auburn and if you get clocked, you kind of build that in as an expectation. That doesn't mean you didn't get clocked.
This is great.
Mississippi State
How
blew
is-
out
this
South
is not
Carolina.
hard,
That's
guys.
a blowout.
Riled up.
Mississippi State blew out South Carolina.
You're making no
35
Yes,
points.
I agree. I agree with that.
35 points is a blowout. 16. See 16 every day.
$4.99 super chat from Quinn here. So I guess if we win by 15 tonight, y'all say Texas didn't get blown out. Agreed. Absolutely.
I think we've established it, but between the three of us, we can manipulate the meaning of words to whatever they need to be.
Just like you can manipulate all the numbers and the datas and the Kens and the Torvs and all these other people, we
I also
can
watch
manipulate the numbers
basketball.
however we want. So
Hey, buddy, I'm not the number manipulator here. I watch
You
ball,
absolutely
and
are.
I saw how it went, and there was no chance.
agreed.
that
It was
Missouri
absolutely a
gonna win that
blowout
game.
until it wound up being a 16-point game. Then it was no longer a blowout.
So if that was a blowout, Chris, what did Mississippi State do to South Carolina?
That was an obliteration.
Oh, okay.
Well,
so
hold
we
on.
have
Oh, so now we're
different
okay.
categories.
All right, so we're
Different
sending people
categories.
into space at that
One
point.
one
Okay.
team.
Right.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
South Carolina is
Interesting.
somewhere orbiting the sun at the moment. At least Missouri's still got 2 feet on the ground for LSU tonight.
Oh, God. You guys took this way too far. Like, you took this way too serious on this blowout thing. But in the meantime, let's get back to Nicholas's thing here. $5 super chat as well. Non-conference, updating the numbers here. Yeah, tremendous. Let's see, hold on. 185 and 23, yes. 288 conference games that split. It gives us 329, 167. So, yeah, I mean, that's the SEC, right? So, tremendous. So, appreciate the support, Nicholas. You guys still laughing? What are you laughing at now?
Quinn's
What's going on in the
just
chat?
got
Ridiculousness
in with
of all
another
that.
one.
Oh my goodness, Quinn!
Another
Dude,
super
hold
chat.
on, like I want to say I agree with you. I don't want to. I don't want to like
now we're
take the
humiliating
money
whole
here.
states.
Like if you win by 15 tonight, it'd be a humiliation to the whole state of Texas. That's your best super chat so far. All right, I'll give you that. Here's the real discussion. I think Sam is right here. We have to decide: were they blown or were they blown out? Like that's really the question that we have to get into. So, all right,
Poor Max.
we have our fun with the whole blowout thing, but. It's just
This is what we're here to do. This is what we're here to do.
This is a terrible idea for a show today. But anyways, all right. So let's see what else we've got here. Andrew, by the way, weighing in. Let's address this. Andrew says, as a Texas fan, if Auburn doesn't win by 15 plus, I would be shocked. So what he's saying is, if Auburn doesn't win by the 15 plus margin, now if he just said 25 plus, then I'd have said, yeah, he probably meant if Auburn wins in a blowout. But 15 plus, that could be that's a couple possession game here. It's only a 5 possession game, Max, right? I mean, at 15 points, 5 possession game. Hit 5 threes at 15-point game.
Hit 5 threes in a row, tie game.
Yeah, that's pretty close to me. So all you need is 5 possessions.
I don't think this is relevant to this year, but I am just going to bring it up because I hadn't looked at it until now.
Just need a quick 35 seconds, Kobe Brea for 5 threes, and it's all of a sudden a game again. So it's not really a blowout in that regard. So anyway,
No, you just get 4 turnovers in a row, and then you hit 4 threes in a row.
Kobe Brea could hit 5 threes in a span of 8 seconds. Like, come on, that's not a blowout. Come on.
We're going to have fun with this all year, aren't we?
It's going to be great.
Yep.
Auburn road games in the league last year working backwards. Beat Missouri 101-74. That's when Missouri was 17 games deep into a winless conference year. One before that, lost at Tennessee 92-84. That was when Dalton Connect took that one over. Before that, won at Georgia by 21. Before that, lost at Florida by 16. Before that, beat Ole Miss by 14. And then before that, 2 losses to Mississippi State, 6-point loss, and Alabama, 4-point loss. So Auburn wasn't invincible on the road last year, but I think this team's a lot better than that one.
Well, we just have to note it. Quinn gives a $4.99 super chat.
Appreciate
learn
it,
what a
Quinn.
blowout is. Quinn, you're my favorite. Like, come on, you know this.
This is
like,
great.
Come on, Quinn, you don't have to keep giving us money. Like, we appreciate it, but you don't have to.
Proceeds to send Blake back to college math 101.
Quinn, you know I'm just messing with you. You don't have to keep sending money. So we're having our fun here. But I agree. Auburn handled the game. That they were in control of the game. So
no, I appreciate.
I'm going to go back and watch right after this. I want to know the exact wording that we said because that's what I want to know more than anything.
It was probably me just spewing something.
Yeah, what are you blaming me for? Blame Max. Don't blame me. Blame Max.
You put us on screen long enough as to just let us go. That there's a high probability any of us is going to say something really dumb at some point.
Yeah, no, I think I said blown and I left out the word out, and then it got ugly after that.
All right.
Usually what happens.
By the way, Malik has checked in. Talking about that free throw line performance from the Gators. Yeah, they're going to need to be better than that tonight. Right, Malik? I think that's for sure. So, no doubt. But all right, we'll leave it to you guys here for the next couple minutes on the way out. And we will discuss anything you want other than what substantiates a blowout. We will not discuss that ever again until somebody gets blown out tonight, and then we'll have to discuss it tomorrow. So, but anyways, you guys let us know what you want to chat about, and we also have something else to do on the way out. Oh, boy. You know what? Actually, let's just do that now because I've got a perfect way to segue right into that. All right, so we've been talking about blowouts, right? Lots of blowouts and all this other stuff. Well, that's always an interesting discussion. And even Joe Mother says that I'm on upset alert. We've got some other great comments. Who's going to get blown out? Well, I'll tell you what. There's someone out there who never gets beat by 15 or 25 or more points, whatever you classify as a blowout. And that is, of course, our friends at Sanders Logistics. Because you may think you've got the win probability graphs in your favor when it comes to moving and getting all your stuff out the door to move wherever you want to move in this world. But the fact is, you don't. Because the only people who have that win probability graph in their favor and the only people who are blowing out the competition, good thing I put out in there, is Sanders Logistics. Sanders Logistics, formerly known as Ted R. Sanders Moving, a leader among moving companies in Nashville, Tennessee, and the surrounding area. Their team of professional movers are focused on delivering efficient, hassle-free moving at an affordable price. Don't you start with me. Efficient, hassle-free moving at an affordable price. They're beating the competition by 15-plus points. Whether you are moving across town or across the country, Sanders Logistics has you covered. No blowouts here, folks. Visit them at tedrsandersmoving.com.
Blake, real quick, we got a good question here. And Dan is wondering why Kentucky's only favored by 3.5. Dan, I'm actually looking at BetOnline right now, and it's Kentucky -2. So it's only a basket favorite. And Blake, we were talking about this actually right before we went live, and you were mentioning some of the history between the two programs that you think is kind of playing into this. What just happened? I didn't see it.
Before I address that, Quinn, you are the best. Like,
oh my gosh,
you are the official super fan.
Man.
Here. Sorry, Sam Smith. You've been kicked to the curb. Quinn is the new official super fan. You know, Sam's going to leave a voicemail after this. But $9.99 super chat. We appreciate it, Quinn. Moving to Auburn, thanks to Sanders Logistics. Thank you, Sanders Logistics. There you go. So, moving to the Auburn Tigers, blowing out the competition for sure. But, so the series history we mentioned in the preview with Kentucky and Georgia. Kentucky has struggled there in recent years, and I have the scores somewhere, but I'll pull it back up. That's kind of been the story here, is that it's just like we said with Tennessee, right? I know it's a different team, but like the name on the jersey has struggled in these buildings in recent years, like the last couple times they played. So that's why I think you're seeing that. And again, I also think Georgia's one of those teams that both the computers and the eye test are still trying to figure out. Like, I really don't know that anyone has a great feel just yet on Georgia. They're 12-2 on the season, got a great win over St. John's. Their only loss wasn't a bad loss, was to Marquette. But then they come out and score 51 points on the road against Ole Miss. And I think in a league where Max has talked about it, look at the numbers. 4 of the top 5 offensive teams in the country. Georgia is not one of the 4, or 5 best offensive teams in the country. So are they going to be able to just use their defense, or is that offense going to be able to figure it out enough to win these kind of games? So that's where, too, I think you put it back on Kentucky here. We've seen Kentucky away from home in a couple of these games, whether it's Clemson, whether it's Ohio State, not had the best performance offensively. So if they get a team like Georgia, who has proven to be able to lock some teams down a little bit, combine all that together with the series history, and I think that's why you have a close point spread here.
I got a kind of a fun question for you guys. So we've got the 3 games with the 1 possession spreads. We've got Florida hosting Tennessee, we've got Georgia hosting Kentucky, and then Vandy hosting Mississippi State. I would put the odds on, if there was a little prop bet, one of those 3 1 possession spread games is a double-digit margin. One team runs away with it out of those 3 games. I would put that at probably minus something, not even. I'd say that's probable that one of those 3 games, someone really makes a statement. What do you guys think? I think it's just inevitable. One of those 3 games, someone's making a big statement tonight.
Which one?
Yeah.
That's where we're here to discuss.
Okay, let's make the case for each of them. I think if Tennessee runs away from Florida, it's that Florida's defense wasn't what it was cracked up to be. If Florida runs away from Tennessee, then it's the computer numbers were right. This is a elite of the elite offense this side of Auburn, and that would be the case. I think if Kentucky goes down and gets beat by Georgia, we said it was Asa Newell was a problem, and now you got the Brea thing, which we didn't even have on the radar yesterday as possibility. If it's Vandy, Mississippi State, I think we look back and say, well, Vandy really hadn't played anybody yet, and then maybe the Edwards injury was worse than we thought. If it's Vandy taking it to Mississippi State, we say, well, they're playing at home, and those guards were awfully good, and they were a little better than we thought. To me, that's how you make the case for each of those 6 teams.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think Mississippi State might be the team to do it, just because we've seen them do that a few times before. They just went to Memphis and just cruised to a double-digit point victory. So I know Vandy is gonna be a tough team to beat. They're gonna take care of the rock and they're gonna turn you over a little bit, but Memphis, tough team to beat also. And Mississippi State made that look easy. That'd probably be my pick, but they're on the road, so.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of trust in Mississippi State right now, but man, there's something about this Vanderbilt team, as I've said before. So yeah, this is a great night of action. These are just tremendous type matchups, I think. And like you said, I think the best setup is because you have all these top ranked teams on the road, and now we put that record to the test for SEC and home games. And so this is how you separate yourself. We said that this season. You're going to separate yourself by being able to go on the road and win close games, win games against good competition, because pretty much the entire SEC right now feels like good competition. So that's it.
I'm not saying we buried the lead here, but no. I mean those were 2 big injuries that, like, when we were talking about these games yesterday, we didn't really discuss. I just kind of presumed that Edwards was going to be okay, but he was not the same guy when he came back. Now AJ Hoger took over and did what Edwards could do. But if you're looking for a go-to scorer, and I'd have to look at him, Edwards is getting about 30 points per 40 minutes or something close to that. Like, he is an explosive volume scorer, and there's nobody else on the roster like that. And he's one of these short guards who gets to the rack, and the height doesn't seem to really faze him. They don't have another one of those on the team. So if he's just a little bit off, given the way State can defend, a little bit off can be a lot off.
Yeah. Eli is keeping me in check. Not a blowout. That's why I said cruise. That was a cruise. That was just a cruise to victory. Different categorization there. T-Rob says Vandy's going to beat State. Deacon says he loves Vandy in this spot. Guys, looks like the chat is liking Vandy here at home. I am all of a sudden a lot more interested in this game than I was a few hours ago.
T-Rob. I bet T-Rob did his homework that Chris Lee did not do probably last night. T-Rob did his homework watching the WWE on Raw on Netflix. Did Chris do it? Did he see The Rock come back? Did he see John Cena come back? Did he see the tribal chief Roman Reigns do his thing? Did you see any of that, Chris?
I did not.
Well, that's a real shame. That's a real shame because T-Rob did, and he's a member of the It Just Means More. It just means more to him. He's willing to go beyond just SEC sports. So, incredible stuff from T-Rob and Netflix. You go watch it after this, Chris. That's your homework.
We haven't talked much about MIZ. Just wanted to mention him real quick because we do have some Missouri fans in the chat. They are now hold on, let me just double check because this morning they were Missouri was out to a 7-point favorite. I'm looking on BetOnline right now if I can.
That doesn't seem like a lot.
Yeah, they're still 7. So Missouri is currently a 7-point favorite.
That worries me a little bit. Not gonna lie.
Presumably,
Grill is still out.
No, no injury report. It was just Trent Burns. So
yeah,
Grill's in.
No, wait, Grill played against Auburn. I'm sorry,
Grill's
I
good
there
yep.
somehow. He didn't do much, but
hey, I don't think he scored. Did he? No, right? I don't think he scored.
7. He didn't.
No. So could be a bounce back game for him too.
Well, I mean, it could be the thing we're seeing with Davis at Arkansas that they're playing a guy through injury and it just hasn't healed and he's not nearly the same guy.
True.
If Missouri and LSU played on neutral floor, the power rankings don't like Missouri as much as we do. It would be about a 2-point game, Missouri's favor. I would think it would be more than that, but that's what the numbers are telling me. And for the record, I've said many times, I think Missouri is better than the power rankings are making them out to be.
Yep.
All right. Let me see here. So, by the way, Lenardi has updated his bracketology. Give me 1 second here.
Let me look at that too. Oh, well,
you guys are curious?
Quinn with another super chat.
Sorry, I'm not looking.
Quinn we need an award for Quinn today. Quinn says we shut Grill down. Yeah. That was a big piece going into that game. We were like, hey, this is a team with Grill. He's put up, he's kind of a microwave. He can put up, 20, 30 points in the blink of an eye, and then not the case. Not the case.
All right, so here's what we have on the bracketology. Just as a note, you're going to look at, so whenever you go to the link, if you go to ESPN and look at it now as we're talking about it, you're not going to see Texas A&M, and the reason why is because he has Kansas in there twice. One of those is clearly meant for A&M because it's a 3 seed, and that's exactly where A&M would be at right now. But here's the update, and of course as I'm doing this, I'm going to tweet this out. Auburn is a number 1, top overall seed. Tennessee number 1. Kentucky's a 2 now. Alabama's a 2. Florida's a 2. Texas A&M is not in the bracket, but they are a 3 because, again, he doubled up on Kansas, which is one of them meant for A&M. Mississippi State's a 4. Now's where you start to see a little separation, which is exactly what we thought. Oklahoma is a 7. Ole Miss is a 7. Arkansas a 9. Georgia a 9. Vanderbilt in as an 11. Not even on the last 4.
An 11. Wow. Okay.
What would you think about that? What would be your pushback?
No. I mean, he had them first 4 out, so they jumped 5 spots this week. Which I guess a road win at LSU will do that when some other teams lose. I guess it's not shocking, but
last 4 in is Texas. They are the last team in. First team out, Missouri Tigers. So
hey guys,
I don't get that.
A game like this for Texas, if they're right on the bubble, like these just one of these games this week for Texas, Auburn tonight at home, Tennessee Saturday at home, they just get one of these. I mean, that is massive for their resume. If they're right, first team, what was it? First team out, last 4 in, last team in, whatever it is. I win, whatever.
Last team
Same
in.
thing. Last team in.
Same.
All the same thing right now. They need one of these wins this week.
Yeah.
I don't get bent out of shape about early January bracketologies because they're kind of pointless. They're interesting to talk about, but why would you have Texas in over Missouri? Missouri's got to win over Kansas, and Texas has done what?
Well, if you look at real quick on Texas, if you look at their guys,
the computers love Texas, but man, computer rankings this time of the year can be empty until you play somebody.
Guys, can we just talk about Texas for
Texas has
for a
more.
half second
Texas
here?
has more blowout wins.
Okay, not that way. So 0-1 right now, right? Lost the opener at A&M. You get Auburn and Tennessee at home this week, and then next week is on the road back-to-back at Oklahoma, at Florida. Guys, if they don't win one of these games this week, Texas could be sitting 0-5.
We said that yesterday, Max. Yeah. Like I feel like we brought their schedule up so many times, and we're like, don't look now, but like they may be completely out of this thing in a couple weeks if they can't find a way to win one of these games. Because even after that, right? Like, keep going. Like, host Missouri and host Texas A&M, who just beat them by 20. And then they got to turn around and go to Ole Miss. And then even if you go to the rest of the schedule, they still got road games at Arkansas, at Mississippi State, still got a home game against Alabama, against Kentucky, and so forth. So their schedule is very front-loaded. I mean, if you can even say that in a year like this. But, yeah, I mean, that's what we talk about.
They need a win this week. Wow.
It's like in football in the league where you see all these teams that are like the SEC will have like 9 preseason top 25 teams, and you start looking through the schedules and saying, all right, somebody's going to take one somewhere. At the end of the year, one of these teams is going to end up being 2-6. I'll give you an example. This year, Kentucky wasn't quite there in football, but it was close. I thought they had a really good team. And then the schedule just and injuries and whatever took its toll. Texas is kind of that team that, like, in terms of talent, we all thought they were probably top 25 before the year. But you could be done for just by the way the schedule went, the fact that you didn't bank anything out of conference, and then that. Now, having said that, we've seen teams like what did AM do last year, Max? I mean, they were dead and buried until late, and then came back and got hot and got in. So it's not impossible, but it feels like that's going to happen to somebody just because of there's only so many wins to go around.
A&M went on a 3-week winless streak last year in February. The last 3 weeks of February, they didn't win a game. They lost 5 in a row. So that's what you're thinking about.
I think that happened to Mississippi State 2 years ago. Yeah, they went. State started off 1-7, and then ended up making the NCAAs as an 11 seed. And that was the year that they just played everybody that, like, if you could have drawn up the worst possible schedule in the first month for Mississippi State, that's kind of what State got. And it didn't break their spirits. They came back later. They ended up getting a win over TCU and the SEC Big 12 Challenge, and then got some of the easier games and then went on a little bit of run and snuck in. But it could go one of two ways for Texas.
EJ says here, starting 0-5 and then going to end up 7-11. Might be one of those just first half of the schedule, rough sledding, and then you get things going later when they kind of figure out, everybody's fit in the offense. I feel like it's a little bit chaotic right now, but that might be a team that starts slow and then just finds their way into March and picks up 7, 8, maybe 9 wins. We'll see.
All right, we're out of here. Some scores on the way out. Barb's got Tennessee 93, Florida 92. Another high-scoring affair potentially for the Gators. Big Gator EJ's got Florida 76, Tennessee 68, and Eli brings up, hey, talk about the hump. State number 6 in the country in home court advantage per KenPom. Yep, not an easy place to win. They've been just destroying teams there. Not obliterating them, but destroying them. There you go. All right, we're out of here.
Yeah, let's hope for fewer blowouts tonight. We'll be here to talk about it either tonight or in the morning or maybe both. Hit the subscribe button, enable your notifications so that you know.
Big baller brat. disrupting the chat.
All right. For Max Barr, Blake Lovell. Thanks for watching us here at Southeastern 16. God bless you. Have a great day. This is Southeastern 16 presented by BetOnline.